Hello everybody, this is pt.4 and welcome back to some more Miles Edgeworth Attorney Investigations, Turnabout Reminiscence. In the previous episode we had started off investigating the crime scene, and that's pretty much what we're going to be doing again today. So if you like what you see, leave a like down below, subscribe to me if you haven't already, share it with your friends if you haven't, and if you like down below, subscribe to me if you haven't already. And comment if you have anything to say. This is what happens when I mix up my own introduction. This is my first time setting foot inside the courthouse. Would have thought it would be my first... oh my god. Even for my first case as detective. But you know, I get a feeling I'll be coming here a lot more in the future. As a suspect, detective. Of course not, pal. Anyway, this lobby is actually pretty luxurious. I mean, for a defendant's lobby, it's got a pretty big TV. Oh, and there's that tea set on the table over there. Bet you didn't know that I like to drink tea. Wow, this room is really decked out. If it means spending time in here, maybe being a suspect isn't such a bad thing after all. I'm beginning to suspect that leaving this detective in charge of anything might be bad. He's right, this room is rather well furnished. And somewhere in this room, the truth is slumbering. It is time to find it and to give it a full wake-up call. So, Detective Gumshoe. Yeah, what is it, boy? Ugh, of all the people to call me that, this detective is by far the least qualified. I wanted to ask you about how the investigation is proceeding. See for yourself, pal. Oh, don't I do a great detective bad or what? Has this man not a personal bone in his body? Very well, then I will inspect the victim's bodies myself. But I already did. Can I leave the room? No. Okay. Did I miss something? No. Maybe if I present some things to Gumshoe. Yeah, pal! Alright, we already know what is to know about this. What about the knife? The knife is one of the metal weapons, right? Yes, it is the weapon that took Mr. Faraday's life. There's blood on the blade, and it's still fresh. There's not a homicide in the homicide division, correct? We've seen a lot more blood. Even if it's not your cup of tea, you might as well get used to it. But the sight of blood isn't something I want to get used to. Don't think of it as seeing blood, but rather as a representation of the killer. Viewed in that sense, you'll begin to see how the killer operates. You're right, pal. Thanks for the fresh perspective. I feel so much better now. Let's see someone does. Yeah! Hey, pal, I'd appreciate it if you didn't point that thing at me, okay? Don't get cheeky with me, detective. I simply wish to show it to you. And got a point in showing it to me? Because I don't even have a single penny on me, so you out of luck, pal! Well, that was an unusual reaction to just being shown a piece of evidence. Yeah, let's get him to, like, whatever. Do you have any insight on this Detective Gumshoe? Well, this detective, I'd rather see something than is actually related to the case, pal. Hey! You know, I thought this was related enough. Okay. Did we get everything from here? Okay. Usually re-examining things later will get me something, but let's check his bag again. The floor. So examine the couch too. Why are there plastic bags scattered all around? Oh, okay. Those bags are for keeping evidence safe, pal. I know that much, Detective. You're sure good at this stuff, aren't you, pal? Anyway, could these plastic bags be evidence of a fight between the two men? Nope, got nothing on that. What am I supposed to do? Did I not get everything here? Oh no, I didn't apparently. Wait, he has something in his hand. His hand is all blocked down here, see? I wonder what it could be. If you look closely, the splotching pattern resembles an ink stain. Ink stain? An ink stain? Yes, I usually get ink on my own hand when I use my feather pen. A feather pen? Never seen one before. Surely you weren't just making it up, pal. Mr. Rail's cause of death was from being shot, correct? That's what we think, but it's hard to tell with him lying face down. Death is bad enough, but it's truly lamentable that someone would try to hide the truth. You sure they were trying to hide something? Can't confirm Mr. Rail's cause of death with his body positioned like that. Detective Bad, I'd like to examine the bodies in further detail if possible. What's this? We're not able to form a theory with them the way they are. I believe an examination of the bodies is vital to finding the perfect evidence, don't you? But you do have a point. Well, hurry up and get on with it. Levy. Yes, sir! We've taken enough photos of the crime scene, sir. There you have it. Do you not approve? Of course not. What? Investigation of a crime scene is the work of a detective, so don't touch a thing. Hey, big fella, turn over the bodies for me, will you? Okay. Please forgive me, Mr. Faraday, sir. Gumshoe, do not get emotionally involved. Remember, you're a detective. Yes, sir. Understood, sir. rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking cranny. Well, it does look like Mr. Rao was shot, and Mr. Faraday was stabbed by the marks in their coats. What I'm wondering is what this thing is. There's something in his breast pocket. It's a fountain pen. Hey, you know, I always keep a pencil behind my ear. Detective Bad is always telling me. You should always write your name down to everything you owe. Yes, somehow you do strike me as quite a forgetful individual. Well, let's get this logic out of the way. Splotch on Mr. Faraday's hand. I wonder if it might be the ink from his fountain pen. Oh, let's ask the lab guy. I don't think you need to ask the lab guy about that, but sure. Detective Gumshoe, I confirm that the substance on Mr. Faraday's hand is the ink. I see, good work. You know, I've always wanted to say that, even if it was just one time in my life. Meanwhile, his talent is pretty much blocking Fransiska. Mr. Faraday wrote with his fountain pen in his left hand. I think it's fair to assume he was left-handed. But with the gun in his right hand, it appears Mr. Faraday's pen is very important to our case as well. Okay, if you say so, pal. Okay. No eureka moment yet. Alright, gold chain. There's a knife wound in his chest here, see? I wonder if the wound matches the knife Mr. Rell is holding. Libby. Yes, sir. Verify now, sir. Make it quick. From the looks of things, one could deduce that the knife Mr. Rell is holding is what killed Mr. Faraday. Shot in the chest. Takes some guts to fire a gun in a courthouse. I mean, I've been a detective for a whole week and I still haven't fired a single round yet. A whole week. Onto the burn marks on his clothes. That must mean that it was from far away. Wait, burn marks? A round grows very hot as it is discharged from a firearm. Therefore, burn marks are usually left when a shot is fired from point-blank range. Ergo, Mr. Rell must have been shot from at least a yard or two away. Which basically tells us what order things went in. So do you know a bunch of neat stuff for your age, pal? Apparently this detective has as much common knowledge as your everyday marsupial. Now let's try to understand how the two men died. First, Mr. Faraday took the gun and the knife out from today's trial evidence. Then he aimed the gun at Mr. Rell and fired. However, Mr. Rell managed to grab the knife and counter Mr. Faraday while being shot. Then the two men fell together where they stood. I don't think so. I think no. That's not right. You would think that he would be stabbed first and then carrying with the gun. What a crazy way to go! Still, something about that explanation just doesn't seem right. believe I now have a firmer grasp on what happened here. Guess there's not much left to investigate, huh? They really did kill each other. No. We can't conclude that quite yet. There's still something I find very peculiar here. The theory that they simply killed one another is too simplistic in this case. The fact that there's actually a contradiction that shows there's another possibility. No way, pal! Really? Suppose I will just have to show you the conflict in this crime scene. I trust myself, but at the same time I have to take precaution. Of course, if this was from an actual console, I wouldn't be able to do this. We'll get to that in a minute. Eureka! Now we come face to face with the contradiction I spoke of. It is this. Mr. Faraday used his left hand to write his fountain pen with his fountain pen. Ergo, he was left-handed, and yet this handgun is in his right hand. Did you find it odd that the left-handed Mr. Faraday would hold the gun in his right hand? That, ladies and gentlemen, is the great contradiction haunting this crime scene. Hey, you're right, pal. That does seem kind of strange. But how could something like that happen? The facts add up to one conclusion, and one alone. Someone else put the gun in Mr. Faraday's hand after he died. Someone else! Plastic bags scattered on the floor, and a gun in the wrong hand. I sense the presence of a shadowy figure behind this case. A person of vile intent who is serious about keeping the truth from us. Investigation complete! Use the autopsy report. It is probable that Mr. Bell survived for a short time after he was shot. However, Mr. Faraday died instantly from his stabbing. Interesting. Looks like we now know everything we need to know about this crime, about this case. Alright, before we go on, let's check the crime scene notes. Alright, victim, Bern Faraday, 40, Mackerel, age 32. Time of death, September 10th, approximately 4 p.m. Discovered immediately after a gunshot was heard. Faraday died of a knife stab to the chest. The shock from the stabbing caused instantaneous death. Rell died of a bullet wound to the chest. There is no gunpowder burn on his clothes, suggesting he was shot from a few yards away. It's possible he was alive for a little while after being shot. Are you sure we know everything? Of course. The incident began with Mr. Faraday attempting to get his revenge. The prosecutor went into a rage from being accused and tried to kill the defendants. But the defendants fought back and they ended up killing each other. It's all very clear, and and simple. There is absolutely no margin for doubt. Do you really believe that to be the truth? Ha! Are you saying that just because I figured out the truth before you, that you don't want to believe it's true? It's alright. If you disagree with my arguments, then prove me wrong. She's being very generous. Well, if there are any contradictions to be found, that is. Don't worry, I will. She's being very generous. Whatever. What happened? Mr. Faraday's death was instantaneous, while Mr. Rel survived for a short time. From this, it's obvious that Mr. Faraday died after being shot from Mr. Rel. When Mr. Rel was on the brink of death, stole Mr. Faraday's knife and stabbed him. Those are the facts of this case. Mr. Faraday's death was instantaneous, therefore he must have attacked first. Proving that logic to be false is probably the fastest way to show her that she's wrong. In that case, I should first look for any holes in her theory. Mr. Faraday's death was instantaneous, while Mr. Rel survived for a short time. Hold it! Do you truly believe that Mr. Faraday died instantaneously? I have the murder report right here. Mr. Faraday died instantaneously of shock, due to being stabbed in the chest. There, you see? It's been documented. Clear as day. Ugh! From this, it is obvious that Mr. Faraday died after he shot Mr. Rel. Is it that obvious? Hold it! Mr. Faraday shot Mr. Rel before he died. Do you have any basis for that statement? Your foolishness has no end, does it? Now, I hate to repeat myself, however. Mr. Faraday died while instantaneously. That's all the basis I need. Alright, so Mr. Faraday died instantaneously. Then he must have attacked Mr. Rel before being stabbed. You're finally beginning to catch on, I see. And Mr. Rel, while on the brink of death, stole Mr. Faraday's knife and stabbed him. Hold it! So you believe that the dying Mr. Rel stole the knife from Mr. Faraday? Mr. Rel became desperate as he did not want to die. Human beings can do amazing things when they are put to the test. So the two men struggled, and in the end Mr. Rel was able to grab the knife and stab Mr. Faraday. The messy condition of this room is a testament to their struggle. Bingo! Yes, my logic is perfectly sound. Can I get that last statement, please? Can you really say it's perfect? What are you insinuating? Nothing. However, I can't let what you said slide by without further inquiry. One must be clear and precise. So if you could append that statement to your testimony. Fine. They struggled, and Mr. Rel used the last of his strength to counterattack Mr. Faraday. No, they did not struggle. So they don't have any evidence proving that they didn't struggle. Okay, let's go with Gumshoe's testimony then. Objection! Two men were fighting. Their struggle surely would have caused quite a bit of noise. However, Detective Gumshoe testified that he heard absolutely nothing. Ha! You place too much faith. Yes, there is a clip. Alright. You place too much faith in that detective's testimony, you know. But for the sake of argument, let's say there wasn't a fight. Now, then, how did Mr. Vell get his hands on the knife? Miss Faraday's bag was sitting right here in lobby number 2. It's not hard to imagine that perhaps Mr. Vell saw a chance and took it out at some point. So, what you're saying is this. Mr. Vell took a chance when he saw the opportunity and took the knife from the bag. And then Mr. Faraday shot Mr. Vell after being stabbed. Isn't there something strange in Fransiska's statement just now? I'm assuming yes, since they gave the option. I'm assuming yes. Something is off. Wait, something doesn't add up. Oh, really? It's simply not possible for Mr. Faraday to have shot Mr. Vell after being stabbed. That? Nope. According to the coroner's report, Mr. Faraday had died instantaneously, meaning that he died immediately upon being stabbed by the knife. Ergo, he could not have possibly been fired the gun after that. Oh, you got me. But of course. Well then, if the report is correct, then there is only one correct explanation. If we suppose that Mr. Vell was attacked first, then Mr. Faraday, who died instantaneously, would have been unable to kill Mr. Vell. Therefore, Mr. Vell must have stabbed Mr. Faraday after he was shot. Then they both died. That is the only explanation that makes logical sense. No, not necessarily. Getting your opponent's ideas in order to prove your own theory. I see you've been studying, Fransiska. I just want to explain it to you as simply as possible, before you foolishly propose a foolish theory that only a foolish fool like you could put. How naive of you to believe that only your opinions are valid, and still expect to discover the truth that the crime scene offers you. Fransiska, you've still got a ways to go. What are you talking about? Are you saying there's a flaw in my logic? Mr. Faraday died instantly, and the fact that he did is what gives rise to the contradiction in this scene. contradiction here in this crime scene is... Let me get this straight. What you're arguing is this. Mr. Faraday took the gun from his evidence bag and shot Mr. Rell. Then the wounded Mr. Rell found an opportunity to take the knife and strike back. Upon being stabbed, Mr. Faraday died on the spot and Mr. Rell died thereafter. If that's the case, then how do you explain this? Take a good look at the order in which the bodies are piled. No! Mr. Faraday's body is lying on top of Mr. Rell's. Therefore, Mr. Rell must have died before Mr. Faraday. Impossible! Yes, I agree that seems strange no matter what angle you approach it from. Which means that the real mystery behind this crime scene that we must solve is... No. Not so fast, Miles Edgeworth. What now? I simply think that you ought to think a bit more outside the box. And that it's even clearer now that the incident started with Mr. Faraday's murderous intent. She will bounce back quickly. An explanation won't be enough this time. It's going to take some very decisive evidence to prove her wrong. Alright, well, we are out of time, unfortunately. I would have loved to continue this, but I gotta wait until next week. So, in the next episode of Miles Edgeworth Ace Attorney Investigations, we are going to be going more head-to-head with Fransiska and disproving her testimony. So, with that, I will see you guys later.